What's going on, guys? It's Greg here, aka NYPrepper. It is Saturday, November 29th, 2025, and I have some breaking news to share with you guys. Right now it is 9:35 Eastern Time here in the United States, and we have some major breaking news coming in from Eastern Europe and from Russia. So what you're looking at here is video footage of the famous Russian RS-28 Sarmat doomsday weapon. This was bragged to be the most powerful ICBM in the world by Putin and his supporters. Well, it looks like they're having some technical issues with this thing. This one shot up into the air and then turned around and crashed. So let me just play this video for you. This is the famous RS-28 Sarmat, the feared RS-28 Sarmat. So you can see it going up into the air, and then it's starting to turn a little bit.
Да ну нахуй. Что за... А, нихуя, я думал вниз полетит.
Упало что-то.
Да это...
Да, пизда.
В натуре?
Да, ты чё, она падает уже, все.
Ебать.
Держись нахуй.
Да ну нахуй. Ебать.
Держись.
Бля, держите меня, я снимаю.
So this is huge breaking news, guys, because we know that the Russians have always bragged about the RS-28 Sarmat being the most powerful missile in the world. And on paper it is, but whether it actually works when you need it to is the critical thing. And we may have some smaller missiles than Russia has, but ours always work every time we test them. And we have some very concerning news coming from the Baltic Sea region. 3 Russian strategic bombers from Alenia Air Base conducted a 5-hour training mission over the Baltic Sea. These are Tu-22M3 bombers. These are strategic or nuclear bombers. And they were escorted by Russian Sukhoi 27 and Sukhoi 35 fighter jets. In response to the incident, Swedish Gripen fighter jets and Italian Eurofighter Typhoons were scrambled from bases in Sweden and Estonia. Okay, but interestingly, look where they went. They went all the way down towards Poland, towards the Polish-Baltic coast, and then turned around and came back. So this was clearly a response by the U.S. sending B-52s into the Baltics. So now Russia is sending their bombers into the Baltics and towards Poland. Very, very concerning. This is the first time they've done that, I think, ever in the last, I don't know, 10 or 20 years, maybe since the Cold War. And on the night of November 27th into 28th, Ukraine sent one of its largest drone swarms deep into Russia, targeting areas like Saratov, Engels, and Volgograd. In Saratov, strikes appeared to hit the Rosneft oil refinery near a key airfield housing Russia's Tu-95 and Tu-160 bombers, with reports of fires and blasts. Okay, so Ukraine launched a massive attack 2 nights ago, and then in response last night, Russia launched a massive attack on Ukraine, one of the biggest ever. So how is there going to be any peace deal if these countries are attacking and bombing each other? Okay, I don't think we're going to see it, guys. I really don't. And 2 oil tankers alleged to be part of the Russian Shadow Fleet exploded and caught fire yesterday in the southern Black Sea shortly after crossing north through the Bosphorus Strait in Turkey. I wanted to update you guys on the situation in Venezuela. So we had a large number of U.S. military cargo planes fly to the southern Caribbean yesterday. Here we have a C-5 Super Galaxy. This is the largest U.S. military cargo plane, and you can see it left Puerto Rico on the 27th. And then here you can see a C-17 leaving the Dominican Republic. Here's another C-17 that flew back to Stewart Air Force Base in New York, near Newburgh, New York. And interestingly, the airlift wing at Stewart Air Force Base is the same airlift wing that was heavily used in the early 2000s during the Afghanistan and Iraq wars to transport, ammunition and cargo into the sandbox. So the fact that the Air National Guard wing at Stewart is active is very serious, because they're considered to be higher priority. They usually send stuff into active war zones, and this thing came from Tobago. Okay, so they must have moved a lot of ammunition or various types of logistical stuff into Tobago, which is right off the coast of Venezuela. Okay. Here we have a U.S. Air Force C-130. That's another military cargo plane, flew from North Carolina to Puerto Rico. And then we had multiple VIPs going to and from the Southern Caribbean on Black Friday. Here we have Pete Hegseth leaving the Dominican Republic. And then here we have a U.S. Navy VIP that was moved down to Puerto Rico from Norfolk. Here we have another U.S. Navy VIP. And then here we have a picture of Russian Buk air defense missiles, air defense launchers in Venezuela. The Buk system is very capable. It's comparable to our Patriot missiles in terms of what they can do. They're very capable. They've actually used these to shoot down an F-117 Nighthawk during the Yugoslav War. One of these Buk launchers shot down an F-117, the first stealth bomber that we had that was conducting missions over Serbia, bombing Serbia. They shot one down with one of these. So these are pretty capable. All right, so Venezuela has these now. And the U.S. Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, visited the Gerald Ford aircraft carrier on Thanksgiving. He gave a short speech to the troops there, but the fact that he personally went to the Gerald Ford is a big red flag. Okay, he personally visited the troops, the sailors on the Gerald Ford, okay, on Thanksgiving. And the Washington Post is reporting that Turkey sees itself as the best country for Maduro to go into exile, and Trump administration officials view that possibility favorably. So maybe Maduro's going to flee to Turkey. And Trump said yesterday that soon the U.S. is going to be striking cartels on land. And Maduro gave a big speech 2 days ago on Thanksgiving, honoring some kind of anniversary for their military. I think their 150th anniversary. And he ordered his country to be alert, ready, and prepared to defend Venezuela. And I'll read to you a little bit more of what he said. And we have multiple sources, including the New York Times, now reporting that the phone call that was supposed to take place between Trump and Maduro has already taken place. Okay, so we were waiting for them to have this big phone call. Looks like that phone call already happened. So now it looks like it could be strike time. I don't know what they said to each other, but interestingly, we haven't seen the strikes happen yet on Venezuela since that phone call. So I don't know if they worked something out, but we'll have to wait and see. And Brazil issued an alert to its civilians in Venezuela to be prepared for a deterioration in the security situation. We have Turkish Airlines extending the suspension of flights to Venezuela through Monday, December 1st. We have this Colombian airline, Avianca, announcing that it has suspended flights between Bogota and Caracas until December 5th. We have 6 U.S. Marine Corps AV-8B Harrier jets arrive in Puerto Rico yesterday. Also, France has asked its citizens in Venezuela to ensure that they have fuel supplies for their vehicles and to keep reserves of food, water, and medications, okay? So France is asking their citizens to be prepared for a worst case scenario. And Switzerland is recommending that its citizens not travel to Venezuela due to the current social and political tensions are very high and the evolution of the situation is very uncertain. So Switzerland telling its people not to go to Venezuela. And the U.S. Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth met with the president of the Dominican Republic, and the Dominican Republic president said that they have given the U.S. the authority to use Dominican Republic airports to conduct operations against the cartels and against Venezuela. He said, "We have authorized the U.S. for a limited period the use of restricted spaces at the San Isidro Air Base for the logistics of aircraft, transportation of equipment, and technical personnel." All right, so the Dominican Republic has opened up their country as a logistical node for the U.S. forces in the region, okay? And according to various sources, the Trump administration has initiated hiring processes to keep the military operation in the Caribbean running until 2028. Okay, so this is going to be a prolonged campaign. It's going to be like the war on terror for Bush or Obama. This is going to be Trump's war, the war on the cartels. It's going to be a continuous war, and there will be casualties, and especially if we go into Venezuela. And I want to read to you what Maduro said on Thanksgiving during this ceremony for the anniversary of their military in Venezuela. He said, "Venezuela is not afraid. For 17 weeks, U.S. and allied forces have threatened the peace of the Caribbean under false pretenses no one believes, not even the American public. Now Venezuela is mobilizing land, air, and sea defenses. There is no threat that will catch us by surprise. 82% of Venezuelans are ready to defend the nation with arms if necessary. That number isn't just a statistic, it's a historic mandate. As U.S. warships expand operations off of Venezuela's coast, Caracas signals that the nation is prepared for every scenario calmly, decisively, and with Bolivar at the helm." So he's referencing Simón Bolivar, and he's saying that this is U.S. imperialism and comparing this to the Spanish Empire. Okay, and Simón Bolivar was a freedom fighter that liberated modern-day Venezuela, Ecuador, Peru, Colombia, and Bolivia and Panama from the Spanish Empire. And the supreme leader of Iran, the Ayatollah Khomeini, said that the U.S. is prepared to start a war anywhere in the world for the sake of obtaining oil and underground minerals. Today, their warmongering has even reached Latin America. Wow, strong words there from the supreme leader of Iran. Very, very serious words there. And also, Iran has been bombing the Kurds yesterday, and they also flew fighter jets towards the Iraqi border. And interestingly, a couple nights ago, Israel flew their fighter jets towards the Iraqi border, and they were simulating a strike on Iran. They actually flew into Iraq and stopped at the Iranian border. So that could flare up again. There could be another war between Israel and Iran. And Estonia proposed to NATO to conduct exercises including the use of nuclear weapons near the eastern flank of the alliance on the border of Russia as part of a show of force. So Estonia wants NATO, probably in the U.S. as well, to do nuclear exercises on the border of Russia. Okay. And Estonia has deployed a new GM400 Alpha radar system near the Russian border. Estonia activated its newest Groundmaster 400 Alpha long-range air surveillance radar, significantly strengthening its early warning and airspace monitoring capability near the Russian frontier. The advanced system enhances detection range, tracking accuracy, and overall situational awareness for national and NATO air defense missions. Wow. And according to the New York Post, Dan Driscoll, the U.S. Army Secretary, informed Ukrainian officials that the U.S. will not intervene to fix the situation on the battlefield, basically saying the U.S. will not help Ukraine, okay? And one of the key points in negotiations with the U.S. will be the West's recognition of Russia's sovereignty over Crimea and Donbass, according to Putin. And we also heard yesterday that Trump is ready to recognize Crimea and the Donbass as Russian. Wow. And Israel has started preparing for Jewish mass exodus. They've been doing emergency drills simulating the massive intake of tens of thousands of Jews fleeing their countries due to severe anti-Semitic or security incidents. Interesting. That's pretty concerning. And after a tense phone call with China's leader Xi Jinping, President Trump phoned the Japanese Prime Minister Sanae Takachi and urged her to soften her tone on Taiwan. Wow. So Trump basically bending over for the Chinese leader because the Chinese leader was pissed off that Japan's prime minister was threatening to go to war with China if China attacked Taiwan, and then Japan started moving missile systems to these islands right off the coast of China. Okay, and so then Xi Jinping called Trump, and then Trump told Japan to simmer down. So very concerning, guys. I mean, we look really weak. Trump basically bending over for Xi Jinping. And I wanted to update you guys on the situation with that shooter in D.C. that shot the National Guardsman. So NBC News and multiple sources reported that the shooting suspect was in the Afghan army for 10 years alongside U.S. Special Operations. So this guy was embedded with U.S. Special Operations, and I don't know if I believe the story. There's some other interesting things about this whole situation. First of all, there was a large number of searches for his name on Google Trends early in the morning before the shooting actually happened. You can see these two spikes over here. Okay, this happened early in the morning before the actual shooting occurred. Why would people even know who the hell this guy is before the actual shooting took place, and why would people be searching for him? And the only reason I can think of is that he had handlers, and he was some kind of assassin, and his handlers were searching to see if he had completed his mission. Okay, who his handlers were, I have no idea. You know, we can speculate all day, but this is a very concerning data point. Okay, this spike in searches for his name just hours before the actual shooting took place. And now the U.S. Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth announced that 500 more National Guardsmen will be added to D.C.'s patrols, and then also D.C.'s Metro Police will be joining the National Guard. So it sounds like it could be an excuse to further militarize our cities and militarize the capital. And the Department of Homeland Security announced an indefinite pause on all immigration requests from Afghan nationals. And then Trump said that he was going to ban any immigration from third world countries. Not sure how that has anything to do with this shooting, but that's what he said the other day. And Trump is reportedly weighing the use of MOABs, officially known as the GBU-43B, massive ordnance air blast bombs against terrorist infrastructure in Afghanistan. All right, so now Trump wants to bomb Afghanistan. And Trump said, we must now re-examine every single alien who has entered our country from Afghanistan under Biden. and we must take all necessary measures to ensure the removal of any alien from any country who does not belong here or add benefit to our country. Trump said Thursday his administration will work to permanently pause migration from all third world countries to allow the U.S. system to fully recover. Wow. And yesterday on Black Friday, flights from Philadelphia International Airport were temporarily grounded after a reported bomb threat. Wow, that's very concerning. And we had 4 nuclear war command and control planes airborne yesterday over the continental United States, which is extremely unusual, especially for Black Friday holiday weekend, to have this many nuclear war command and control planes. These planes are responsible for communicating with our submerged nuclear-armed submarines, and they can also remotely launch all of our Minuteman III ICBMs. And then here's some pictures of the Russian oil tankers that mysteriously exploded in the Black Sea, 2 of them. So very serious situation there. And then finally, just want to show you 2 pictures of this shooter. Okay, he looks like a completely different person. This is an old picture of him. And then here's the picture of him after the shooting. I mean, the faces look completely different. The ears, the nose, the eyebrows, everything, they just look like different people. So, just wanted to share that with you. And I might be back later on tonight with a live update. I'm going to be hunting today, so I may not be able to go live. I may be tired when I come home, but if I'm not, I will be live at night. And thank you guys for all the love and support. Hope you're having a great Thanksgiving weekend. If you're driving, please make sure you're safe on the roads. There's a massive winter storm warning that has spread across the entire Midwest. Okay, and then lots of lake effect snow and lake effect snow squalls from here in north central Pennsylvania all the way into Ohio and western New York. Lots of lake effect snow squalls, so please be careful on the road. Make sure you have your winter survival gear in your vehicle, spare clothing. I always keep a wool blanket. I always keep traction boards in all my vehicles in case you get stuck. You can slide the traction board under your tire to get some traction to drive out if you're stuck in some snow or you slide off somewhere. Things like that. Make sure you have everything you need. And until the next time, take care. God bless. And don't forget the 3 Ps: prepare, practice, and persevere. And this update was sponsored by EMP Shield. Guys, EMP Shield has created a special discount just for you, the listeners of the NYPrepper channel. If you go to empshield.com and use the promo code NYPrepper, you can get 15% off your entire order. And why do you need an EMP Shield? Well, this is a special device to protect your vehicle, your RV, your solar generators, your radios from an electromagnetic pulse, which could be caused by a solar flare or potentially a rogue country like North Korea detonating an electromagnetic pulse weapon over the United States that's mounted onto a satellite. So protect your vehicles, protect your RV, protect your radios, protect your generators with an EMP Shield. Use my promo code NYPrepper to get 15% off. Installation is super simple. This is a veteran-owned business, 100% American-made, and the EMP Shields have been tested by the military, okay? And free shipping is included to the entire continental United States. And the link and the promo code are in the description below this video.